welcome you all here today again, and it's just a joy to see how many people are here today. This is the third year of Universal Dream of Peace Gathering. The first year we met in Flick Park, and there are some people who are here that were there then. And it was quite an experience being outdoors and also having to worry about a horrible thunderstorm that was threatening, and we were outdoors and had to make all kinds of arrangements. But it turned out to be a very heartwarming experience. And then the second year we were here at this auditorium at the Skokie Public Library. And the first one we had about 30 people, second one we had about 50 people, and so it's growing. But I'm very, very excited about the fact that I've got great people helping me every inch of the way, and some people who have volunteered their time to get a website. The first one was done by a totally blind man by the name of Dan Gistenson, which was another miracle. And then Bill Jones from our congregation, Renee Joshua, volunteered some heavy-duty time to bring it up to where it's at now. And now another lovely man has come to my aid by the name of Wade Harvey. He's doing my website now. And if you look at those flashlights, you'll see my website address. I hope you'll check it. And there you can see some of my cool-down specials that I've done. So, having said that, the Cool Down series is done as part of the Universal Dream of Peace mission to cool down anger, prejudice, and overwhelm. My website, which started out with just a few people hitting it every month, is now, after its third year, hitting 6,000 to 7,000 people every month from around the world. We are now, as of this week, I have 51 different countries who hit at one time or another. And not only are they hitting and me, they are checking files, and that means there's a lot of interested people. This is a topic that's become very popular. So the website is really doing a tremendous job in electronics, the world, the miracle of the world, the internet, and so on. I continue to be a not-for-profit organization. In the true sense of the word. I pay for everything that I have to. I don't ask for donations, and I'm not listed as what's the word I'm looking for? Well, a not-for-profit that's a state license. Another fraud. Just pass over. Sorry. My dream of peace is to bring kindness of word, thought, and deed. People don't care about peace when they don't have food, clothes, a safe place to sleep. Would you like to see that change? But you would? And you show of hands will do too. Thank you. Well, I guess that's one of the reasons we're all here today. I dream of leaders becoming global thinkers. Instead of waging war, we can take care of the homeless here and around the world. Money spent on war can go to health instead of destroying lives and the planet. How do you feel about that? Would you like to see that happen?
Yes.
We can help lead with food, clothes, medicine, and education. We can set up departments of peaceful and healthy living. think inclusively. We can set aside food for the stranger. As most of the world's major religions would say, we are children of one father, Abraham. We can find common grounds, agree to respect and accept each other's differences. Would you like to see that?
Yes.
All right, then we're on the same page. We can lead an orderly and less wasteful life. Take care of our planet and save money as well. We can be part of the solution instead of the problem. I believe that the government should set into motion a law that all people must recycle. Today, we can look at our electric bills and check off a square for an alternative energy. You can see turbines in the field. Let's insist on saving our home and our planet. We can no longer do the same old, same old. The clock is ticking. Let's beat the clock. Peace of all kinds are won piece by piece. Now, I would like to take this moment to set a good mood, good energy, and good feelings. It's also a preamble for meditation or prayer, wherever you are. Take 3 deep cleansing. We'll do this and we'll set aside a moment to do so. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths and slowly exhale. When I say that, I mean take a deep breath and then really pour that negative energy out of you. Then, in doing so, you can relax and enjoy the peaceful feeling entering your mind, body, and spirit. Release any anger, hurt, and send it out into the universe, not to affect anyone else. Now, please, take a minute to do this before we resume. Do this frequently, please. Meditate for health and peace around the world. Spread good energy. So you can meditate and let some of your own thoughts flow freely out, and we'll take 3 deep breaths and exhale 3 times. It's a wonderful tranquilizer. You can close your eyes if you wish. Okay, I hope you're more relaxed than you were a moment ago. Try this again wherever you need it. At this time, I'd like to invite a young boy who's 9 years of age. He led us in Pledge of Allegiance. He picked it for his brother Reed, and for that we thank you. And his father, Ross Matthew, is the Lion President of Stokey Lions, and was sharing the story of their trip to Washington, D.C. I was in tears when I heard his story. A child of his age totally Guess the human condition. Nicholas Mackey, will you please come and tell us your story?
Dear Abraham Lincoln, I hope you are good where you are right now. I hope you are safe now. I hope you have no harm or fighting wherever you are. I just want you to be okay in heaven. I hope no one is fighting in heaven.
I'd like to take this moment to introduce our Honorable Skokie Mayor, Mr. George Van Dusen, who is a tremendous supporter of peace efforts, and he also arranged some years ago to have that Holocaust. He was one of many, I'm sure, to have his name on the Holocaust statue out front. And I think it's worthwhile seeing it. It's quite an exhibit. So take a moment. And also, please, your bios are in your program, so I don't have to talk that much. And let's welcome Mayor Van Dusen. He did such a great job last year with walking down here.
I don't get it done right the first time I have. Marion, congratulations on your website. That's great news. Well, this afternoon, I'd like to talk just a little bit about where do we go. I'm not a national leader, not a presidential candidate. One of the few elected leaders who isn't a presidential candidate. And I do not know very much about national politics. Know a little bit. I do know that we need to get out of Iraq and to do so as quickly and as quickly. But the question is, what do we do after that? And also, I think we all need to contemplate today, what is the dream and how do we achieve it? It's a dream that isn't unique with us. The Reverend Martin Luther King had a similar dream. Before him, others shared that same dream with us. And it seems to me that the decision about peace and harmony and about all of the other things, including global warming, despite the global part of it, really starts with each of us as individuals in our local communities. Now you could say, well, that's just your prejudice because you're a mayor, that's how mayors think. I grant you that. However, a few years ago, I was reading a little bit about Lincoln. That's kind of my pastime, my avocation, if you will. And I ran across something that he said that struck me particularly poignantly. I believe that a man should be proud of the city in which he lives, and that he should so live that his city will be proud that he lives in it. And over the years, the more I thought about that, the more it has made more and more sense to me. Where does it really start? We are going to have an election in 2008. I know that isn't news to any of you. If you've been watching any of the debates, you may wonder, where does it all start? However, it does start with us because we have to vote. And we have to evaluate the candidates on both sides of the aisle. Marion, you're a not-for-profit, so I'm not going to get too partisan here. I'm not going to jeopardize your not-for-profit status. But we do need to, as a country and as a community, community and as individuals, we do need to stop and reflect and think about where do we want our country to go? And what are we as individual people willing to do? This may mean that we have to be willing, in fact, to accept inconvenience. We may have to be willing to spend a little extra money. I had an experience just a couple weekends ago. I had a Saturday off. And my wife and I, with two other couples, decided that we would all go on a daytime road trip. Our friend happened to have bought a Japanese-made, unfortunately, a Japanese-made automobile that is electrically run. So we decided we would take that. You look at it, and it's an SUV in every manner, shape, and form, except for the engine. We drove up to Chain of Lakes where we made breakfast. And then we drove up to Lake Geneva, spent the afternoon in Lake Geneva, and then drove back in the early evening. Barely used any gasoline whatsoever. Mostly it was electrical energy. And so I asked my friend, because the village, we will have our first electric car delivered to us shortly, and we're going to begin to do an experiment to see how do they work. So I asked her about it a little bit. And she lives in Skokie, she's my neighbor. She told me that the other day she made 5 different errands within the village and did not use 1 ounce of gasoline. Not one. So this is miraculous. How much did the SUV cost you? Now, when I say SUV, it looks like an SUV. I can probably get 6 to 9 people in it. 6 comfortably. 9, squeeze them in. So I asked her, how much did it cost you? And if I remember correctly, it's something like $22,000. A comparable gas-driven automobile would cost about $18,000, she told me. Difference of $4,000. Not an insignificant amount of money. And I said, why did you spend the extra $4,000? And she said, well, think of how much I was saving gas, for one thing. But she said, besides that, it saves on the environment. And she's right. It will mean, in many respects, that we are going to enter an era where we will have to be willing to spend more money. In the state legislature, this is where it really starts to hit home. State legislature now is talking about increasing the funding for mass transit. And it will mean a tax increase of some sort. Nobody, particularly a public official, ever wants to talk about tax increases. But quite frankly, these are the kinds of decisions that we all must weigh in on. We have to insist that our transit agencies be efficient, that they not waste our hard-earned money. But by the same token, we must also recognize that when we are told bad news, that there's a reason for it. None of us, myself included, wants to get bad news. When I see the village manager walking down the hall toward my office and he asks if he can close the door, I know it's not good news. Good news, Mayor, let's keep the door open. I want everybody to hear this. My point here is that it really does start with all of us at the local level. And I do believe that we at the local level, in order to solve the global warming problem, must do something ourselves. It's not going to start from the top. It's going to start at the local level. The end of this month, early part of next month, I'm going to announce in the Village of Skokie a task force to hold public hearings to discuss what can we do at the local level to conserve energy and to avert our contributing to global warming. I'm hoping that the participants, will include somebody from our Health Commission, include somebody from one of our Land Use Commissions, will include professional people who are in the field. I'm hoping that in a year or so, they will deliver a report to the village board to advise us on what kinds of ordinances we perhaps should enact. We have one of the most comprehensive recycling programs in the nation. Not just Skokie, although we were kind of a guinea pig. The chairman of the Solid Waste Agency of Northern Cook County, 23 municipalities bound together in an ironclad agreement to figure out how to dispose of our garbage, our solid waste as well as our recyclables, in an efficient, cost-effective manner. That's our mission. We've been in business for coming on 20 years now. Our recycling program includes single-family, multifamily, as well as businesses. And those of you who live here in Skokie might recall that when we made commercial and industrial recycling mandatory, it was rather controversial. Businesses all said, how dare you make it mandatory? And then literally we sat down with them through the Chamber of Commerce and other organizations, and we pointed out that they were actually paying too much money in their contract, and that we could literally save them in aggregate $1 million a year. And in fact, we delivered on that promise. We're not alone. Other municipalities have all done the same thing. I'm hoping this next year that we will go to weekly recycling. The Solid Waste Agency is negotiating a contract with Root, which is our vendor. If the negotiations go as we're expecting, we will then be in a position where we can go to once a week. But there's more as a unit of government that the village can do. We're going to experiment with our fleet having electrical cars. And if they work for us, then we slowly will phase those in. The manager has created within the village government a study. So we're going to examine everything that the village does to see how we can save on energy and contribute to a solution. Let me give you just a little bit of an insight here. This next year, actually, I'm hoping within the next 60 days, the village board is going to begin its final discussions on a new police station. I'm not going to get into the reasons for it, other than ours is way outmoded, and quite frankly, another year or two, we won't be able to use it very much. In doing this, what we want to do is to create a green police station. I'm not talking about the color green. The one that we have now is pitch black. Although we may wind up calling this one green, maybe. But when I say green, I mean in an environmentally friendly way. So I asked the manager to talk with our consultant who specializes in police stations. She has done the one in Hyde Park, the one in Glenview, I think Oak Brook Terrace, and a couple of others. Immensely talented woman. Came back and he said, it will cost us in the neighborhood of $750,000 to green the station. The station probably is going to run somewhere between $22 and $26 million. The board is going to have to decide aside, I'm hopeful that we will go ahead and we will do the greening. But these are the kinds of decisions that need to be made locally. And I think if every municipality does this, then before you know it, the federal government is going to wake up and recognize that this is what the people of the country want. It can only happen, though, if people like you and myself are willing to push forward and to demand it. And by doing that, we also have to be willing to accept what will inevitably be the consequences. Public officials don't like to give bad news. But hopefully when constituents hear us give bad news, they will accept it in the way in which it's meant. We will have to accept greater expense. And I think that what bothers me as a public official about the war in Iraq is when I see every month the amount of money that is being spent on a useless war, which is not contributing to making us safer. If anything, it is making us less safe. But that money could be used toward a solution to so many other problems, including the environment. I do welcome the President's statement last week. I think we need to go further. But I think we all should at least welcome his conversion. I'm sure it's not easy for an old man to make this kind of conversion. And whether it's late or not, I accept it. When I say that it starts at the local level, it's not just with global warming. It's with everything else. The village of Skokie, in its history, has been confronted with hatred on at least 2 different occasions. 1978, you all know about the intended Nazi march. And then just a couple of years ago, 1999, the Ku Klux Klan decided to visit our town. What I'm most proud of as a village official is the way in which my community has always reacted to hatred. We have always managed to bring something good out of these kinds of events. When the Nazis announced their intention, out of that came the creation of the Natchez Township Clergy Forum, a truly wonderful organization. All of the ministers in town, and the rabbis and the priests, meet on a monthly basis to discuss issues of interest. In the evening before Thanksgiving, they have an interdenominational service that includes every religion you can imagine. The village of Skokie has 70 different ethnic groups identified. Every religion you can possibly think of is represented here in Skokie, including Zoroastrianism. My friends from last weekend were Zoroastrians. But the Clergy Forum is a quiet organization, but it has had an immense effect on the village because it has produced and helped us create an energy, as Marion might put it, of peace and harmony. When the Ku Klux Klan announced their intention to come to the village, one of the very first groups that I talked with, aside after the lawyers, always talk to the lawyers first. But the second group that I talked with was the Clergy Forum and also the village's Human Relations Commission. Krishna is a member of the Human Relations Commission. And they gave me all kinds of wonderful ideas. And what I asked him is, how do we take this that is negative? Is there some way we can make it into a positive experience? Maybe we can use this as a rallying cry. And the Clergy Forum and the Human Relations Commission suggested, along with the Villages Corporation Council, Barbara Meyer, let's have a Peace and Harmony rally the day after. And I thought, it's kind of risky. Not risky because of the people involved, but risky because it was the Sunday before Christmas and Hanukkah. And I thought, who wants to come to a rally when they would rather be out shopping? Or maybe visiting with friends and relatives. But we did it. And we had 1,500 people. We literally jammed. There were no seats available at the Niles West Auditorium. People came from Skokie, from Evanston, from Morton Grove, all the way to the Illinois line. Why? Because people wanted to be part of something that was going to express the need and the want of peace. They wanted a positive outlet. We asked people in the village and the surrounding area not to go over to the Klan. Let them make their speech. We will make ours the next day. They had a handful of people, a couple hundred people. Most of them were onlookers, not sympathizers. Out of that experience also came, I think, in the village, a sense of community. In the early 1990s, one of our service organizations, the Rotary, suggested that maybe we create a festival of cultures. Now, this is in the early 1990s. In the 90s, and of course, at the turn of the century, we became much more diversified. Today, the village is 24% Asian. Every year for 17 years now, we've had a festival of cultures that attracts in the neighborhood of 25 to 30,000 people over a day and a half. The other day, I was meeting with some of the other mayors from the area, and one of the mayors said to me that a Filipino man had come up to her and said, "Why haven't you done a festival of cultures?" And so she asked me for information on it, which I gladly sent her. What I'm hoping is that this kind of community spirit, and it's not just Skokie. I'm very proud of my community, but it's not just Skokie. Morton Grove, Glenview, Evanston, Wilmette, Winnetka, City of Chicago. We all have a collective spirit about us, I think. One of the groups, or I should say a couple of the groups that I am especially proud to be able to work with, because they've helped us institutionalize the desire for peace. And that is the Lions. I'm a member of the Lions. I'm proud of it. Walt is looking at me, and I know what he's saying. He's saying, "Why don't you come to more meetings?" I teach on Tuesday nights, unfortunately. The Lions have their meetings, but I'm a proud member. Because the Lions do a great job. Marion is a member. Walt Houghton, Ross, who you met just a little while ago, Krishna, of course. These kinds of organizations support and help us institutionalize our desire and our dream for peace and harmony. And I was asked once, and at first I kind of stumbled in the answer, but I was asked once by a news reporter, why is it, do you think, that Skokie has had the Ku Klux Klan and has had the Nazis? Why you? And I stopped and I thought, damn good question. And then all of a sudden I thought, well, yeah, we are in a sense a logical community. 70 different ethnic groups. The Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis go on the basis they've got to hate each other. I mean, after all, they're an organization based on hatred. So why would people of Indian extraction not hate Pakistanis? And why would other people not hate each other? It makes sense when you think of it from their perspective. But each and every time, we have fooled them. We've come together as a community, and we have won. Part of the reason is because we've had the support of the people, we've had the institutional support, the service organizations like the Lions, but also we have strong institutions like our public library. This is truly one of the great libraries in the state of Illinois. I don't think Carolyn Anthony is here, so I can say this because she teaches me to say this. But it's the 5th largest public library in the state of Illinois. Now, we're a town of about 65,000. This means that Waukegan, Springfield, Rockford, Chicago, other large cities are our competition. And we have the 5th largest public library in the state of Illinois. Our librarian, Carolyn Anthony, was the Illinois Librarian of the Year last year, which is a compliment to all of you. We have an award-winning park district because of you. You support the parks. You use the parks. And that tells our park district, keep up the good job. Keep up the good work. You recycle. That has told me, make it once a week. We will do it. So I want to thank all of you for everything that you do, for being here today. It's an important statement. I want to thank you for what you do day in and day out. I think that we've got a wonderful future. The young man, Ross's son, proves that we have hope for the future. So thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it very much. Marion, congratulations on such a wonderful program again today.
Next year. Every day. I'd like to have Tracy grab the folk singer front and center. And there was a slight error due to my negligence in feeding the information to our program developers staff at Friends React. And I think she did a great job. Thank you for that. These are original compositions. Is that correct? With all the original things? Yes. One is Never Again. The second one is Mother Earth. It's not one song, it's 2. Thank you.
The first one I'd like to sing for you, at the time that I submitted it to Marion, it was called Never Again. It's actually changed. It's called We Choose Peace, because I think we really do have a choice, and sometimes we forget that we have a choice in this. It's actually based on the text in the book of Isaiah that says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, nor shall they learn war anymore. Never again to the us has a place where each of vital parts of the human race, each word we say, each step we take, is the beginning of the difference we can make. Never again to live the sword, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the sword, no one to ever die in war. Let us pray for peace to spread across the land. Open our hearts and learn to give. Let us build our strength by walking hand in hand. This is the way we choose to live. Never again to live the soul, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the soul, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the soul, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the soul, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the sword, no one to ever die in war. Never again to live the sword, no one to ever die in You know, it wasn't until the last 2 years that I started writing songs that I think were a little more meaningful than sort of general pop tunes or musical theater. Recently compiled a CD called We Choose Peace based on those texts and the concept of peace in the world. The next song I'd like to share with you is a little bit different. It's called Mother Earth, and it's really about taking care of the earth and how we really need to do that as well as taking care of each other. We start with the chorus, and hopefully you'll pick it up as we go, so feel free to join in on the choruses. Mother Earth, Mother Earth, the wonderful neighbor, to the trees and the grass and the air. To us you have given the world that we live in, the only world we'll ever get, so let's take care. Do we really have a choice when we hear a child's voice? Dirty hands and dirty feet, hasn't had enough to eat. See the pain that's in their eyes, hear the little baby's cries, reaching out and reaching in. Where do I begin? Mother Earth, Mother Earth, you're the wonderful neighbor, to the trees and the grass and the air. To us you have given the world that we live in,
an amazing woman in so many ways, and extremely busy, almost overnight, and mind to help anyone she can. I remember in the parking lot one day after services, and I said, Tracy, I can use some of your piece around. She'll pull out her computer, puts up her calendar. I can't. And she always brings joy wherever she goes, and I think she's a dad today. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my new friend, Hari Lamba, who's been on two of my cool-down programs. He's written a marvelous book called Rethinking Progress. It's not only statistically giving you a lot of information, but it really hones in about what our planet is all about and how we all make a difference. So please, won't you welcome Hari Lamba to the
I'm deeply moved and honored to be invited by Marion to speak at your event here. It's a very moving event. Thank you for that song. It was really a beautiful song. Again, I come from suburban Downers Grove, so I come from quite a ways. And I'm originally from India, and I was born in the Sikh community. Anyway, I've been in the country since 1970, and a grad student down in Urbana Champaign, and then working in the Chicago area since then. I think we met last year through the auspices of some of the Gandhi-related events that we had held last year, and that's the connection that introduced me to Marion, and it was my pleasure to interact and participate in those events last year. I just want to start with a couple of prayers, and I see there's some poetry on there, so I thought that it might be a little bit appropriate. There's a couple of prayers that I myself say every morning as soon as I get up and look out the window. One of the prayers is, thanks for this beautiful, life-giving earth. May I enjoy what I seek to protect. Thanks for this life-giving planet, which I will enjoy for my survival. Those are some of the prayers that I say every morning. I'm just going to say a couple of prayers I thought that might be suitable for this event. I've written some poetry, but this is part of my non-denominational poetry. One is a prayer for diversity. Lord of the universe, Lord of all life, teach us to live in harmony even as we celebrate diversity. Treat us to respect other religions even as we follow our own. Treat us to respect others' opinions even as we express our own. That's the prayer for diversity, the brief one. The other one is basically a thanks for the earth, thanking the Lord. Thanks for the greenery of the earth. Thanks for the life on the earth. Where the greenery does cover the ground, I see a carpet round and round. Many thanks for photosynthesis that gives us life-giving oxygen. Thanks again for photosynthesis that absorbs our carbon dioxide. Thanks for the motion of the planet that gives us a wind and breeze. Thanks for the beautiful blue sky that reflects from the light of our sunny star. Thanks for the sunlight in my eyes. Thanks for the energy it gives us all. Thanks for the wispy cloud in the sky that seems to simply float away. Thanks for the dark clouds that rain, that quench the thirst of dry land. Thanks for the sun rising in the east that wakes us from our slumbers deep. Thanks for the sun in the middle of the day that gives us the energy that brings forth life. Thanks for the sunset in the west that tells us it is time to rest. Thanks for the darkness of the night that we can sleep or toss or turn. Thanks for the beauty of the sun as it sets, when orange hues hit the clouds. Thanks for the beautiful life-giving planet that I may enjoy what I see people there. Anyway, those are a couple of poems.
So we are not helping ourselves at all, and pretty soon scientists are thinking we might get to a runaway greenhouse situation where we may not be able to do things for it until such time as maybe a few hundred years. So we really need to think about those things. But that's what the things we can do in our personal lives. Local community level, we should insist on local community government. We should show up at council meetings and say that the local city should adopt the Cool Cities program that is being proposed by the Sierra Club, which will take energy efficiency and energy transformation in all aspects of city government use. We should insist that city government modify the building codes so as to encourage green building, energy efficient building. The building codes are very important. That's a number of steps. The city itself can start saving in its own operations, go to energy efficient and low carbon dioxide kinds of vehicles and buildings. Every building that they build from now onwards, you must insist, if my tax dollars are building it, you please make it energy efficient and generate electricity possibly, and also use renewable energy. On a state level and on a national level, we really need to insist on a national program, and I call it the Energy Program for Energy Transition. We need an aggressive program with real teeth in it, not just words that we've been hearing from our government for the last 6 years, and absolutely action going in the other direction. We need strong action now. We have to start transforming our economy immediately so that by 2030 it's completely transformed. We need to take it up as a national, we need to step up to our international obligations and make Kyoto Protocol, even Kyoto, with only 5% reductions in carbon dioxide gases by the year 2010 compared to 1990 is very little. It's like a drop in the bucket. And we have, since we've started talking and signing the Global Warming Treaty in Rio in 1992, we've been rapidly and furiously increasing our carbon dioxide emissions to the point where I think we've gone up 16% instead of going down 5%. So anyway, that's the national level. We need national programs for energy efficiency, for making sure that our housing, our appliances, our cars become, by regulatory law, more energy efficient. That will save us 60% of the future carbon dioxide production, just that. Can you imagine? You're still getting to enjoy your car, you're still getting to enjoy your house, you're still getting to enjoy your appliance, but you're consuming 60% or emitting 60% less carbon dioxide, and therefore, consuming 60% less energy. And that's at the international level, that national level. At the international level, we really need, because with carbon dioxide, if the US is not emitting carbon dioxide, but the rest of the world is, or if the rest of the world isn't, and the US is, we still have a big problem. So what we really need to do, it really takes, for the first time in the world really needs to come together. The exploitative globalization, political and economic system we have will not make our world come together. Because the have-nots will continuously say, you are exploiting us. Can you get your foot off our necks first by the debt crisis, the debt bondage you have on us, where you're getting us to pay $375 billion a year to you every year, and only giving us $50 billion a year. Get your feet off our necks then we will come and cooperate with you. But we need that cooperation desperately at this time, and it needs to happen now. The future leadership of this country needs to emphasize that we must have international goodwill and cooperation. We must have it now. This process of just us getting rich and other rich nations getting rich and vast deterioration in other parts of the world just won't work anymore. So we need to come together as a world, we need to come together as a people, and we need to really cooperate to solve this problem internationally. We need strong international treaties, we need strong encouragement, we need strong enforcement, we need carbon taxes, we need financial taxes, we need to fund these activities, we need to have strong programs of international democracy, strong international accountable institutions, rather than the unaccountable IMF and the World Bank that we have today. We really need to make this whole thing work. And that's the kind of vision I try to portray in my book. We really have to put it together at this time in human history. We need national leadership because we are, in a sense, we are the most powerful nation in the world. Our national leadership has to step up to the plate. If they fail us now, we will be in deep trouble. Anyway, that's as far as the thing is concerned. I just wanted to say is thank you so much, Marion, for this having me as part of your program. I'm deeply thankful, and I hope that as we go on this program of peace, that peace with each other and peace with our planet, peace with our surroundings, peace with our lawns, peace with our nature, peace with our cicadas, will be really part of our life. Thank you so much.
That is a man who lives and breathes and does everything he can for everyone on our planet. And he's an amazing man. And please, if you're interested in information on how he has a link in my website. So please check that out. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you my dear friend Ken Witz, and he has a poem and a little story to tell. So let's welcome him to the microphone.
Thank you, Marion. Can you all hear me? After hearing such eloquent speakers, I thought to myself, I really should just throw in my thing and just say thank you very much and just sit down. What these people have said is so true. The Mayor Van Dusen, was very eloquent, and he's right. It's at the local level where we need to start to get some of these situations taken care of. And Harry, who I had the pleasure of meeting at one of Marion's cool downs maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, is a very eloquent speaker also. And it's just wonderful to hear what these people have to say. And I just added something along slightly different, but also the same type of information, although it's, well, let me just say it. It's funny that the mayor mentioned something by Martin Luther King, because I found something by Martin Luther King Jr. And let me just say it. Hatred and bitterness can never cure the disease of fear. Only love can do that. Hatred paralyzes life, and love releases it. Hatred confuses life, and love harmonizes it. Hatred darkens life, and love illuminates it. This is a poem, or what one would call it, probably much more than that, relating to a story that I read in the book Chicken Soup for Jewish Soul. go through it, but I think really I'll skip through it and just say the story was basically about love and forgiveness between people with different ideas. One of the people had to do with the KKK, which is a dangerous group, violent group. But what happened is people who were threatened overcame this, made friends with this person, and turned him completely around. And what happened is this was love and caring and a big F word, forgiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to learn from history, we must see that life repeats itself. There's too much hate and bitterness around, and we need to think about a lesson of love and forgiveness. And if we can do this, we have a chance, and we can use this F word, forgiveness, along with love, and bring us closer to what Marion speaks about when she talks about the dream of peace. Thank you very much.
Austin D'Souza is our next speaker, and his topic is One World, One Village, One Family.
One world, one village, and one family. It says it all. When we start reading Bible, the first politics, the first fight started in the first family of Adam and Eve. As we know, they had two sons, Abel and Cain. All of a sudden, jealousy started between them, and the peace went to hell. Ever since, we created similar Cains, especially in this world, amongst politicians. I still don't understand why our politicians cannot think of peace. They say it all in their speeches, but the very next day, they carry their guns to show their power, to break that peace. Let us start peace in our own families first, because that's where we as human beings come together, spend the most time of our life with the most loved ones as a family. Of course, the world is filled with various religions, languages, cultures. Accordingly, we eat different food, dress differently, and also, even though we speak one language sometimes, English, the accent is different. Can't change that. But if we make of our mind to get put together, we can bring peace in this world. I belong to several associations, and every association has members. They have members from all different parts of the world, different countries. They speak different languages. They wear different clothes. But whenever we come together for one cause, we don't think about our differences. We work for one cause. I belong to an international organization called Lions Club International. Every year we meet for our international conventions, and people from more than 200 countries come together. This year we are going to have our international convention in Chicago, in the McCormick Place, and there will be about 30 to 35,000 Lions members throughout the world will come. But when we meet each other, we just embrace, welcome each other just like one family. Even though India and Pakistan is fighting, when we meet members from these countries, we embrace each other. because we don't believe in politics. Why can't we bring that peace in our communities, in our nations? We should. Sometimes we become so selfish, we don't know what to do. A simple example I can give you, if you go home and look in your closet, there are so many things. Some things you never use them. They look so nice, hanging on the hangers. For what? Nobody knows. It's like Christmas ornaments. They look very good on the tree, but nobody can use them. So, my friends, I'm very much involved in industrial management, and we preach 5S. 5S means, first is sort, set aside, shine, standardize, and sustain. Let us do the same thing in our closets, in our homes. Let us sort things which are piled up, which we need, which we don't need. Whatever we don't need, let us give away, because there are so many needy people in our world who can make use of it. If you do that, we'll have enough space in our homes, in our kitchen drawers, closets, so that somebody will make use of it. We saw many people, even though rich, or the richest person, when he dies or she dies, people take a body for cremation, the cemetery, or wherever. But I don't think any one of you saw behind the hearse big trailers carrying their assets to bury in the cemetery or cremate. So what is the use of having all that? Why we are becoming so selfish? Let us share, let us care humanity in this world. That will bring peace. In this country, even though this is the richest country in the world, all these service organizations like Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, JCs, Kiwanis, Moose clubs, they started in this country. For what? Because people like me and you recognize the need in our community. Even though we are rich, that richness is not going to reach all the families. So we started these associations to help the needy family. When I was the district governor of Chicagoland, I was really surprised to hear that there were 35,000 school kids in Chicago public school system, just in elementary school. Those who failed twice in their eyesight examination, and they weren't able to afford to buy eyeglasses because they were from poor families, single families. We took that project because in 1915, Helen Keller gave us the challenge to be the Knights of the Blind, and ever since we started getting rid of blindness in this world. So I thought, blindism started in Chicago, and in our own backyard, there are so many school kids, those who cannot read. And what will happen? They fail, they quit schooling, and they join gangs, and they will be on the streets. So we started helping them with the help of Lance Crafters, and so far in 2.5 years, we have 18,500 school kids who have their own eyeglasses. They can read. That is peace, sharing and caring. My message is only this: don't be selfish. If you have something, give it away. The month of January, I went to India, and my wife wanted me to stay in a 5-star hotel. I said, okay, I will. I went alone. instead of starting in the hotel, I stayed with my brother. And whatever money I saved, give it as a charity, because there were needy people. We can do that. Even if we save some money, $1 a day, put in a jar or box, and use it for a worthy cause. There are needy people in our own country. Forget about third world. Why I'm saying forget about it? Because whenever we speak about third world or charity, always we think that we collect money and give it away. Even though it is not true, according to our association figures, Lions Lost. Because we spent, since 1996, in 10 years, we collected about $53 million from our Lions members as donations, but our foundation gave it away for charities in the country, in the US, $64 million. That means there are more people in need. Right now I'm working on one project to collect $200 million throughout the world. Of course, not myself. There are 185 sector coordinators like me. We just had a meeting yesterday in Philadelphia, and our goal is to collect $200 million. You know which is the country number one who donates money? Can anybody name it? Pardon? United States? You are absolutely wrong. Yeah, we always think that because of our richness, because of our wealth in this country, we are the number one donors for helping others. Actually, Japan is the number one country in donating money for world need. They give it away, and that money goes to all countries, including our own country. So, it is time to change that. We can change it. First from the family, then going to the community, and going to the world. We can do that. And we can do that if we change our mind. If we change our mind, thinking that we are all one family, and so that we can bring peace. I really thank May for inviting me to say a few words over here. I hope you got my small message. Take it home, keep it with your family, spread it, then take it to your community, and let us become a peaceful community, getting rid of war and all those nasty things. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce Julia Rock. She's been gracing the stage twice here. This is a piece, the first one we have in Good Park. So she's an amazing human being, an amazing writer, and I want you to put your hands together and bring out this terrific gal.
Hello, everybody. I know that you could be outside today on this beautiful afternoon, and you instead chosen to come to a peace rally because you, as I, think that peace is a very important thing in this world. And I know that you would agree with the previous speakers that peace, harmony, charity, and making sure that global warming doesn't spread are very important things that will solve the problems of our planet. Government, social institutions, and service organizations are extremely important to all of us because caring for our neighbors is what is most important, and it is a spiritual calling. And we have to remember that life must be in balance. We understand good because we understand something about evil. We know about peace because we understand war. We need to know sadness to truly know happiness. We know about what this planet should and could look like, and that's why the threat of global warming is so important that we take seriously. Life has to be considered and not impulsive. We must think first before speaking. We need to consider the consequences of our actions. We ought to reflect on what we have done in the past in order to decide what to do next. And in this part, with reflection, we have to realize we need to change course and make our planet a better place for all of us. Life has to have perspective. We need to look back and realize what we've already done in order to understand the direction in which we are going. Reflecting on our past motives and actions can allow us to change our behavior and our effectiveness in reaching our goals and objectives. Changing our behavior can potentially change outcomes in life and can allow us to forge a better future. And that is what we want to do. We all together need to forge a better future for us and for the planet and for everybody who comes after us for generations to come. These are times to stand back and reflect, and yet there are also times that we need to move forward and act. In creating peace in this world, we need to operate in the sphere of action, and we need to work on improving ourselves. And both of these things can be done simultaneously. To explain this seeming contradiction, I would like to relate to you a story from a book called Jacob the Baker by Noah Ben Shea. As a professor at several California colleges and as one of the owners of the New York Bagel Bakery, the author combines wit and gentle wisdom for a world that has become needlessly complicated. This particular story in his book is called "The Moments That the World Ignored Filled His Plate." It was always the small, solitary acts of living that brought Jacob peace. The more attention that others drew to him, the more pleasure he began to draw from his own commonplace situation. The moments that other people ignored filled his plate. He did not seem susceptible to his own inflation. On the contrary, he appeared to relish and become more comfortable with becoming less and making himself less. In the process, the subtleties of life grew, their significance enhanced. The teapot whistled when it was ready. From this, Jacob took that he must be patient until he is called. And when he is called, he must be able to hear the call. And for this to happen, he must pay attention. And when the call came and he was listening, he must be prepared to act. Patience, calm, attention, action. These were Jacob's thoughts in the small kitchen over his morning tea. When he finished, the circle of the empty cup stared back at him, its rim running endlessly. Jacob drifted, cradled himself into the silent center space in the middle of the cup, and found peace. A wise individual once wrote, "For the garden of your daily living, plant 3 rows of peas, peace of mind, peace of heart, peace of soul. Plant 4 rows of squash, squash gossip, squash indifference, squash grumbling, squash selfishness. Plant 4 rows of lettuce. Let us be faithful, let us be kind, let us be patient, let us truly love one another. No garden without turnips. Turn up for meetings, turn up for service, turn up to help one another. To conclude our garden, we must have herbs, such as rosemary and oregano, but the most important one is time. Time for each other, time for family, and time for friends. Water freely with patience and cultivate with love. There is much fruit in your garden because you reap what you sow." Thank you.
I'd like to take this moment to introduce Paula Drews and Ruth Berger, Paula the vocalist and Ruth Berger the pianist. They're going to sing "You Light Up My Life." I think you know why the flashlights are here. And then there will be "Let There Be Peace on Earth."
Thank you, Marion. What an honor it is to follow such an auspicious panel of speakers. I thank you from the bottoms of our peaceful hearts. And I want to dedicate these beautiful songs of peaceful messages to all of us who are committing ourselves to the universal dream of peace. So many nights I sit by my window, waiting for someone to sing me his song. So many dreams I kept deep inside me, alone in the dark. But now you've come along, and you light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights with song. Rolling at sea, I drift on the waters. Could it be finally I'm turning for home? Finally a chance to say, hey, I love you. Never again, but to sit all alone. And you light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and lift my voice with song. It can be wrong when it feels so right, 'cause you light up Please join me with our universal plea for peace, prayer for peace, song for peace. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as my Father, brothers are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be my moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace and harmony. Let there be peace. Israel. I would like to say to you, as all Israelis address each other and visitors come, they say to each other, Shalom, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom means hello in peace. Amen.
Please stand as your name is mentioned. I don't think you're here, but I've got to mention you anyway. I want to especially thank Carolyn Anthony, the director of this library, and Christy Robinson, who is the special event coordinator for their help and support in hosting this event. Thanks to the Skokie Lions for their support in sponsoring this event. All Lions Club work for world peace every year by sponsoring peace poster painting in schools around the world. Very special thanks to my friend and sponsor in the Skokie Lions Club, Mr. Walt Holden. Would you please stand? Mr. Lyons. I think they give him the title. I would like to acknowledge Comcast Public Access TV for their public service and for airing our cool down specials, as well as our Peace Forum program, which the taping that's being done here today should be aired. I'll email whoever I can with the dates that it's appearing. If you leave your names, or email addresses or phone numbers, you will be contacted. I would like to acknowledge the volunteer camera people in the back. It's Maria. If you can run forward. And also Walt Holden, who's also pinching as a videographer for today. I wanted to, last but not least, Roberta Margaret for interviewing me on Contempo, of which she is the host and producer. I ask you to please stand if you fit any of the categories I mentioned. That are we going to have them come up? Well, the people I want.
You're going to bring them up to the stage?
Right.
Okay, let's bring them up. I've got 5 minutes to take with us.
I would like to thank all the people who attended this past forum. A special thanks to people attending the viewing of the video to help plan the event. All those people who've been involved in any way, singing, attending our forums in the past, sending out emails about the Peace Forum, making calls, telling people, helping right here today. All of you, please come around the front and up this stair and onto the stage so you can be videographed. All the people in the front.
Come on, let's get videographed.
Hurry up, dear. And I'd like us all to give any, Estelle, can you make it up? Or
I can't, sure.
Do you need help?
No.
Bonnie? I can't see everybody's here, but you know if you help me in any way, shape, or form, no matter how much or how little, I would really like you to be acknowledged, Marion. I know you. So we're all the video. And I'd like you all to please give all these people who've been involved in helping to put this program and the Peace and Global Warming effort forward. And without them, please let's give a resounding round of applause to everyone standing and also for those of you in the audience, because you cared enough to be here. Stand. Thank you. Now, I would like to read a little prayer. Dear God, in the midst of war, we seek your peace. Send forth your love to heal our hearts. Tear down the walls dividing us. Restore the bonds connecting us. Forgive the errors haunting us. Renew the spirits of the human race. Use use each of us to further the good. To transform our fears from fear to love. End this war and all wars. Thank God and amen.
Marion Rosenberg for arranging this whole thing.